Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing After Us from Catch Up Games. Hey, future Alex here, just popping in before that swoosh finishes. I just wanted to let you know two small little details. One, this game is indeed by Pandasaurus. I say it in a second, I think, if I recall correctly, but the game is indeed by Pandasaurus. The newest printing is going to have the little logo on it. It is a Pandasaurus title. They've made like changes to one or two cards. Nothing crazy there, just an update while I'm here anyway. But then two, the real reason I'm here to swoosh in from the future is I made a small but mistake that is noticeable but not meaningful in the course of my plays and my review of this game, which is the card market in After Us. I played with the cards face up so that you can see the cards, when I don't know why I assume that at all. The rulebook clearly shows the cards face down. For some reason I just assumed that they were face up, and as a result, at one point in the things that I didn't like, I was like, I wish they had kind of said who goes first when they're buying a card, because while it doesn't feel like it really changes how you interact with the game, that kind of thing, like, it just didn't really resolve it. Again, it was a very small complaint, and it was also followed by me saying, I don't know if I particularly ever was seeking out a specific card. So I don't think my opinion of After Us has changed at all from it. I have not played After Us since finding out that I was playing it wrong while playing it at Level Up Retreat recently. But yeah, I have not played it since then, since finding out I was wrong. But I do not think it changes my overall opinion of the game. But it is worth issuing a bit of a correction that a small critique I had over a pedantic little missed something in the rulebook was not a them issue, it was a me issue. And with that, back to the review. After Us is a 1-6 player game that I believe is being made either with or in association with Pandasaurus. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a 1-6 player game which players are going to be deck building their hand of cards. You live in the theme here is an interesting one. You live in a post-apocalyptic world where all that's left is the apes. The apes are banding out into groups of tribes, and you're trying to get your hands on various resources, energy, food, tokens, all these various things in the game. Ultimately, what this game comes down to is it's a race to 80 points. It's a race to 80 points. You're going to be moving around this track over here, trying to get to 80 points through a card matching mechanism, in which you're going to be lining up boxes of different cards based on how you think is going to be the most efficient for you, trading those in for new cards, and then trading them in for points as you go through it in order to get to 80 points before the other players. That's the idea. It's card matching with deck building, and that's what you're doing in this game. To that end, what you're going to go through every single round, there's three phases. Is going to be the assembling your tribe phase, gathering new monkeys, and then clean up every single round. You're going to draw 4 cards, and then you're going to start the assembling phase. So we have 4 cards here. Let's go ahead and put this together and just walk you through a round and figure out how we can do this here. We want to get our hands on at least, let's see if we can get a bunch of blue here. We should be able to do it this way. If we do it like this, we're getting that box. We don't care so much. This is early game, so I don't mind as much doing this. So, we assemble the apes, and we're going to go ahead and resolve our turn. This box is an open box, meaning we won't get anything for it. And you have to assemble left to right, and then top to bottom. So, I'm going to go empty box. We have 2 over there, so I'm going to gather those. 2 blacks over here, going to gather those. 2 more blue from this over here, and then empty box. Then we're going to get 1 point on this track over here, because that's a point. This is a trade-in box, but it's an open box, which means you get nothing. We could trade in a battery for a point, but we don't have a battery. We could trade in 2 blue for a point, but we don't want to. And then we go to the bottom row, which generally you won't be activating the bottom row until you start buying cards from here. That's the first phase. That's the assembling the tribe phase. Now we go to the attracting new apes phase, where we go ahead, now that we have these resources, we will secretly select a token, and I'm going to go ahead and select this token over here, because I want to, and I'm going to reveal it, and I have that token over there. This token, let's try to figure out which token my opponent chose. My token chose this token over here, which is what my opponent chose, and that's relevant because that's a degree of sharing, which we'll cover shortly. This means I go ahead and get to reactivate any one box. So I'm going to go ahead and reactivate my double black box, because I like getting rage in this game, and then from there, I'm going to go ahead and buy this monkey over here. Now, the way these monkeys work is level 1s and level 2s as you go through it, and then these ones cost blue. These cost blue resources, orange resources, black resources, and this costs any one resource of your type, but you can't mix and match. So, for example, right now I'm going to pay 3 blue resources to take this monkey over here and put it on top of my deck. It goes on top of your deck. We'll have access to it for next turn. That goes to that phase. I can also pay 2 of any one resource to reactivate the symbol on my opponent's box. So this lets me activate again any one box. And if I wanted to, I could pay 2 black to do that. It wouldn't really help me though, because I could pay 2 black to get 2 blue, or just 2 black. So I'm going to leave this alone, but you have that opportunity. Then we go ahead and reset. We rest over here, discarding the rest of these cards, and then we start with the next round. That's round 1. Now round 2 is going to be a draw more interesting. We have 1 point after round 1. It's going to be a very long game. It's going to be 80 rounds at this point, but things will speed up because we have these cards over here. I'm going to go ahead and start adding more cards. We got these 4 cards from there, and we're going to see what we have. Let's see what we can get our hands on. We have these over here, and then we try to mix and match. Now we have this bottom row, which definitely is more helpful, which I want to put this bottom row down over here. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and put it over here, because then I can spend 2 resources of that type. I don't know if I can do that way. I'm going to do it this way. That'll give us a box there. A lot of this game comes down to how you can try to mix and match your boxes in the most efficient way possible, and I think that's good enough for me. So we're going to go ahead and activate. We're going to get a battery. We're going to get a black and an orange. We're going to get a blue. We're going to get a battery and a black. We're going to get some resources over here. We're loading up the resources. And then over here, we can go ahead and get a battery again. So we have 3 batteries. We have a blue and an orange. Lots more resources already, you can see. And then an orange, just loading up resources. We can spend an orange for a point, which we'll do. We can spend an orange and a battery for 3 points, which we'll definitely do. We're going to go over there to 5. We'll spend an orange, a battery, and a black for a point. I think I'm going to decline to do that. Then down the bottom row, we can spend a battery and an orange to reset a box. Now, that's where it's not necessarily as obvious as helpful to do so, but I guess I'll go ahead and do so anyway. I'll go ahead and take a black and a battery. I don't know, I just traded effectively an orange for that. I'm not sure if that was worth it or not. And that's going to be these cards over here. And now we're done. We move to the next phase, where I'm going to spend 6 black. We have to take these tokens back. I'm going to spend this token over here, which is going to give me 2 rage on this track. And then I'm going to spend 6 black over here to take a level 2 ape over here from the black ones. Now this is where we're going to start talking about the other mechanics of the game. That's the flow and sequence. Every single round, you draw 4 cards, you assemble those cards into whatever configuration you think will give you the most resources, and then the most trade-ins, and then you go to assembling to gathering a new ape into your tribe, rest, rinse, and reset. But let's talk about everything else that we haven't covered yet so far. First of all, the apes all have a specialty. The blue apes over here are going to be focusing and giving you the most victory points. Over here, these orange apes are going to give you the most energy. Over here, we have the black apes that give you the most rage. Whenever you have 4 rage, you can trade in those 4 rage to burn a card from your deck, which will let you focus on your better cards, and you'll get the rage benefit, which means you can trade in early monks over here, these tamarins. You can trade these in for a single resource of your choice, or whatever shown there. And then later apes, you can trade in for 3 points, which means late game you can start trading them and cashing them in to get you across that finish line. Over here we have these monkeys are going to let you focus on reactivating boxes, so you can get that from these. So each monkey type has a specialty as you go through the game, and you're trying to focus on, you can also trade in over here. This will give you 2 points. This will give you 2 batteries. These are the 4 tokens you have there. We also have items. There's 7 items in the game. You're going to pick 3 every single game, and at any point in phase 1, 2, or 3, you can go ahead and use these items by paying in batteries to activate them. This one costs 4 batteries while you draw another card, meaning you can have more cards in your tableau. This one lets you cost 1 battery, but you can trade and rearrange resources, giving you flexibility to get the apes you want. Over here, you can spend 6 or 9 to get a level 1 or 2 card added to your deck, which is going to help you continue to accelerate that engine and get better cards in play. And that's basically how you play After Us. You're going through a sequence of starting with 8 basic cards, trying to level up your cards, get stronger and better cards that lean into whatever advantage you want, whether it's deck weeding, whether it's batteries so you can activate items, whether it's victory points, or whether it's just reactivating boxes, which works well when paired with the others, trying to figure out the fastest way to generate your resources and work and charge your way towards those 80 points of endgame. Which means now it's time for the review, starting off with ease of play. This game is incredibly easy to teach. Literally all you have to do is have your 8 cards and just show people, okay, great, I'm going to draw 4, I'll take my turn, and then you go. Normally you're playing it simultaneously, but literally I can get people up and running in this game by just showing you what my turn looks like, and then we're good to go. The game is incredibly simple to pick up, incredibly simple to teach, plays in around 30 to 40 minutes, depends on player count to a degree. This is a 1 to 6 player game, which means it's always going to be equal to your slowest player at the table, or slowest aggregate player, which means that a 2-player game might take you 25 minutes, and a 6-player game might take you 35-40 minutes, but it's a fast-moving game as you charge up, gather resources, and work your way towards those 80 points faster than other players. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, which is, I love the artwork and in general, the artwork and presentation, and even just the components and bits. Very simple to the point, but it does its job well. It's illustrated by Vincent Dutrait, who's an amazing artist, love his stuff, and I think it works really well here. The theme is a different story, but the art over here, the presentation of like this post-apocalyptic world, a completely themeless game. It's a pasted on theme to the nth degree, but the art and presentation is great to begin with. The game is also incredibly rewarding for the mental weight that the game has, meaning there's not a lot to get up and running in this. You literally get up and running in 5 minutes, and the game plays in 25 to 40 minutes. It's a fast-moving game, and the amount of rewarding fun you get out of converting resources and building up your cards and, you know, putting down a bunch of cards and getting like 15-point turns. You can have turns where you'll be like, okay, great, I got 20 points. Which when you start off with a turn where you get 1 point, those 20-point turns based on how the cards lined up perfectly, where you have this ape here, you trade in one of each resource for 5 points. You use this box over here to reactivate it. Boom, you get 10 points from that. You also have this box over here, which gives you 3 more points, and you have another box over there that gives you 2 points, and boom, you have 18 points, and you also go ahead and trash an ape now at the same time. That gives you an additional 3 points, and you got 19 points and you cross the finish line. There's an incredible amount of fun out of those turns as you go through it, and it's very satisfying to gather those tokens, to trade them in, and to figure out the best way you can build up your deck and weed your deck by trashing other cards that are getting in the way, as you just charge confidently towards as many points as you possibly can, faster than the other players. The tools also add a fun little degree of variety to the game. Like I said, the 7 tools, you'll have 3 every single game. They give you fun, small little abilities, draw cards, discard cards, straight up get 5 points. You can just trade in batteries to different things, and that gives you a different leverage, especially as far as the orange apes are concerned, which are focused on batteries. The tools in play and how you're using those will be a big part of what you try to focus on, whether you try to focus on just straight victory points, on the batteries for those tools and extra benefits, or alternatively for the black apes and the way they're going to weed out your deck and give you that, or alternatively the jack of all trades, master of none, which lets you reactivate boxes as well. There's a lot of flexibility as far as how you approach this. The tools, the apes, the way you build your deck. It's just a quick, simple, fast-playing game of gather resources, trade them in, and get to 80 victory points. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all, this is a small nitpick, but the backstory and theme here is completely nonsensical. I don't get how the post-apocalyptic, only the apes survive theme in any way feeds into anything going on here. This is a game where you play cards, you match up the little boxes as efficiently as possible, and then boom, you try to get as many points as possible. All games could use a theme, and this theme is not a bad theme, but I would say that the theme is unique enough that I'm almost disappointed that there's like no connection whatsoever. It's just after us and matchup. It's not a bad thing, it's just a little weird and out of place. I'd also say that the game doesn't feel strongly replayable. The fact of the matter is the way the cards work in this game, the way you're building out your deck, all these boxes, I mean, every single card in these over here, every single level 2 card is slightly different as far as the actual boxes on them. So you have stronger and weaker cards, but the cards are technically different. But I don't know if across my plays, if I've ever really felt that idea that this is the card I want. I usually just think in terms of level 1 and level 2. I don't have a specific box, I'm not trying to do whatever. I'll deal with it when the cards come out. I've never felt particularly attracted to that card's really good for my engine. These are the stronger cards, these are the weaker cards, that's the type I want, that's not the type I want. It's very binary to that end, and that means there's not a lot of resonance with, oh my gosh, the game plays out differently every single time you play it. No, you buy cards, you get more resources. The only thing that really changes every single game is going to be the tool tokens in play. I almost wish there were text-based cards that gave me some more of a sense of, I want that card and how it feeds into my engine. I want that sense of mattering, that sense of I actually want this one card. This card has an ability that really works with my things. I don't get that from this game. So the game works well, but I don't get a strong sense of replayability from it. I'll also say that there's a small nitpick here, which counter to my last point. The rules in the game, when you're bidding on more cards, the rules say, oh, the order of who buys what card doesn't matter. Which I kind of agree with for the most part, meaning effectively, if 2 players play the same token over here, we both play this token, we're both buying a level 1 card from this pile, if one of us specifically wanted this card, the rules don't have a way that you get it. It just says it doesn't matter. So you take this one, I take this one, and if you actually wanted this one for some reason, there's no resolution as how that operates. Now that hasn't really been an issue in the game, so it's a weird complaint because I agree that they don't matter, which kind of feeds into my first point. Nobody seems to care about the cards. And the options they did matter, there's not a resolution for who gets which one first, which in a 6-player game, that kind of clash could happen and could be a problem if you actually cared who got what card. So it's a nitpick as far as I wish the rules addressed it, but I also kind of agree that the cards don't really matter, so I don't know if it actually does matter. It's a technical nitpick more than anything else. As far as what I can see others not liking, this is a no interaction game. And I'm not going to say like literally no, there's technically interaction because when a player plays one of these tokens, you can pay 2 resources to mimic their effect. That's it. That interaction, the idea that maybe one of you got to a card first, which again doesn't really matter, is the only degree of interaction in this game. So if you're looking for something that has any sense of interaction, this is one of the lowest degrees of interaction I've seen in a game in a long time. This is the most multiplayer solitaire of all the multiplayer solitaires. You're doing your own thing, you're charging towards 80 victory points, and you're trying to do so before the other players. That's it. It's a solo race where you're both racing on separate tracks, trying to see who can finish first as far as the game goes. And then also the game does end pretty quickly. The game does get ramped up, you have your engine, you build your cards, cards. Like I said, a 2-player game, you can knock it in 25 minutes, which on the one hand is you can knock it in 25 minutes. On the other hand, if you don't get a sense that you really built out your engine, it could feel unsatisfying to cross 80 when you're like, I barely started playing. And so I feel it's a good pacing, and it gives you almost a step above filler, but a step below a longer weight game. But if you want something that runs a little longer, I mean, in theory, you can just double the points. You could say we're playing to 160 points, and that could really just be it. But if you're just playing with the base rules as is, the game does end fairly quickly. As far as final thoughts on After Us, I very much enjoyed this game. It wasn't really on my radar. I didn't know anything about it. I'd seen the cover, and that was kind of it. And I read the rules, and it seemed simple enough. And I liked the idea of matching up boxes, and I played through it, and I enjoyed it, and I had fun with it. And I overall liked the game. It's solid, it's quick fun, it's very rewarding for the amount of mental investment to learn, to teach, to play. Overall, it just checks a lot of boxes. My only real complaint, which is a big one for me, is I just don't see it being strongly replayable. I don't see it being a game that I'm eager and excited to dive back in. This is one of those games that falls into a very large camp of games where I am always fine playing After Us. I'm always fine playing it. You want to play it? Boom, I'm here for it. It's fast, it's quick, it's fun, it's rewarding. I'll generate some resources, I'll see if we can cross 80 points before you. It's a good time. But I also don't know if I'm compelled to pull it out anymore either. It's one of those games that it's given me a few plays, and great. And now I've seen what the game has to offer, and I'm happy to play it. I don't have that strong sense of why I'm continuing to dive into it past just the fun of playing cards, building up resources, and getting your engine done. And I am someone who does very much seek out a degree of replayability in games past pure optimization and into like, why does this game feel different? So that is a factor, but I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. I think an expansion, this is one of those many games, I've said this before, but a dozen games, I'll say about this one too. This is the kind of game when expansion could absolutely push it over the edge for me, because what it does well. The combination of multiplayer solitaire and low elements that change up the experience means every single time I play it, I'm just doing the same thing, which is a good, fun time, but not one that is strongly replayable to me. So overall, a 3.5 out of 5. I definitely enjoy this one, definitely like it, but have concerns about how replayable it is over time. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, and this is an interesting one, for recommendations, I focus on different things sometimes. Sometimes I focus on theme, more often I focus on mechanics, and in terms of matching up symbols here, I just had 2 games that I thought of on wildly different ends of the spectrum. If you're looking for something that involves matching up symbols and cards in a very fast and fun way, there's actually an upcoming game. It's not yet available, but I believe it will be on crowdfunding at some point in the next several months, but Sirens is going to be a game. It's a small little card game. It's called Sirens, small little card game. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. But it involves drafting cards 2-player as you try to figure out which cards will help you as you put them into your engine and line up cards. Very fun, and it's just like an 18 or 20 card game. It's a very small box game, small box game. And then on the complete opposite pole end of the spectrum, if you're looking for something that's going to involve matching up symbols on cards and is a totally different beast, then Tainted Grail from Awakened Realms will take that as their main combat mechanic in a much larger narrative-focused game that has that combat aspect of trying to line up symbols in different cards as you chain them together, trying to figure out how to take down your enemies in a giant epic sprawling narrative game. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.